It's time for the ESL Open Cup semi-finals. The first stat over here is going to be on Pride of Altaris, and in the top left-hand corner of this new beautiful map, the blue Zerg is currently spawning. From Kaisi Gaming, it is Solar. His opponent, instead, spawning as the Red Terran from Team Shopify Rebellion, makes a noise for Byun. Once again, it's very complicated to make predictions about this game. I do feel like Solar is playing currently a little bit cleaner than Byun is. Especially his early transition to the late game stages. He can get to that so fast, risking so little. And that really has improved him as a player overall. Byun struggling a little bit to find his own dimension after causing quite the problems to pretty much everyone with his new / old style that he brought back to the game. But now people looks like they've a little bit more figured out, just like that. And my true Italian accent was really showing in that sentence. But yeah, you got what I meant. Reaper opener on the side of Byun against Hajgas pool. Weapon opener is not something that Byun has been doing consistently. He often likes it better to just get a couple Marines before getting a factory. It feels like the Reaper just slows him down. He wants to have more Marines as early as possible, especially good against things such as I don't know, like 14 pools, 16 pools. But overall, Pride of Altaris is a fairly long map. Having the Reaper out, especially with so many cliffs, is almost a no-brainer. That's how good it is. Reaper cliffs everywhere. And you can see Byun making advantage of it, hitting at his natural very early on. Maybe even trying to get a couple lanes for his troubles. It's going to be 6 lanes being issued by Solar. And the Queen is out. It's going to be far more complicated for this Reaper to do much more, and the Crypt Tumor would just be laying eggs over here. The cliff in the natural, of course, the ramp, sorry, in the natural, of course, means that the Reaper is going to have a very tough time killing that Crypt Tumor. So Byun is just gonna completely disregard it and go back to macroing with something interesting of his own. An early fair command center. And once again, Pride of Altaris, very long map. You can get off with these kind of things. Like, you can easily survive if you're scouting properly with your Reaper to anything aggressive early on, which Solar is not really doing too much as of lately, so I really like this choice out of Byun. I'm not too sure if I would have liked this better with something like triple Rex into command center, or maybe 2-1-1 into command center. Or 2-1 command center starport. Well, that's what I meant, but I still think this is a solid choice from the Terran player. A good way to approach his matchup. And the Reaper, honestly, crazy good scouting for Byun. Is basically having perfect information throughout the whole game. This guy is basically playing chess right now. He's not even playing StarCraft with the amount of information he has. Talk about perfect information. This Reaper, I mean, constantly checking everything. That's a lot of queens over here. These islands are still competing, actually. There's still a lot of lings and queens. Byun does not want to lose his trump card to deal some damage. The Liberator and the Marines finally kill an Overlord. Was trying to get some scouting for Byun. Right now it looks like the Terran player is just trying to be annoying while developing his standard strat. 3 Rex being dropped down, and of course Stimpack is on the way. Solar is prepared with Spore Crawlers a little bit all over the place. try and stop this Liberator from doing too much, but that's a lot of aliens actually. The Liberator flies past the Spore Crawler and tries to get a little bit of damage onto the drones. Will not get a single kill before moving into the main. Oh, but the aliens, oh my, the aliens. 3 drones falling down, Byun still trying to get kills. He gets a Queen with a Liberator, which is not the best you can get. But that was a difficult spot to get any damage really, and forcing the attention of Solar away to deal damage with the aliens was already pretty much good enough for Byun. Not enough damage, that I will say. Solar, again, as I was saying in the beginning of this cast, lately he's been advancing to the later stages of the game really quickly and with really good tech, without really even cutting too many corners, having a lot of workers. And unless he's slowing down significantly, he's gonna do it this game as well. Like, he's gonna have that 10 minutes hive, and it's going to be very complicated to hold him back from that moment onwards. Especially with the possibility to gain control of a golden base in a fairly defensible spot, with the only problem being the high ground and the ramps and the rocks, sorry. The aliens still trying to look around to get some damage done. The Byun's in production with Byun speed on the way as well. Byun just trying to get a little bit of scouting of the army of Solar, unless that was a misclick, which is totally possible. And trying to kill as many crit tumors as possible, which is doing a great job at it. To be completely honest, Solar crit spread not really looking amazing so far. He's really trying to gain control of the middle ground, but Byun has been consistently stopping that, killing many crit tumors that really need too much retaliation from Solar, and that is gonna prove very worthwhile, because a big army of Byun is marching through the map right now. So many key upgrades completing for both players at once, but not Byun speed. Byun speed, still a few ways off. These Marines are steaming forward, but so many Byun's trying to get around, as well as the lanes. The tanks, of course, are also going to help, keeping these many lanes back. Of a Byun speed, centrifugal hooks, 10 seconds from being finished, and that's pretty much when the army of Byun becomes a little bit too obsolete without marauders. It's all down to micro. These 2 tanks are placed in a very dirty spot as well. Couple queens falling down, creep tumors again being pushed back. But Solar doesn't really want to wait, does he? And he's ready to strike. What do we have here for defense? Almost nothing. A few units of reinforcements actually gaining over here for Byun, but Byun is still pushing into this spur base of Solar, actually causing a supply block, killing another Overlord. It's a lot of Overlords dead right now, but fighting a creep not too easy. Byun recovers his Marines into the medivacs, dealing a lot of damage right now to the army of Solar, but Solar is not looking like he wants to stay put, and that is going to be an absolute disaster. The reinforcements of Byun gets completely cut out, and now it looks like so many SCVs are going to fall to the Byunlings. Byun deciding not to lower the depots to let the SCVs in, thus losing them many lanes and Byunlings. And that was a very good executed run by from the side of Solar. Byun, not really the cleanest defense, and now this guy over here is a million lanes and Byunlings, and the hive, as you can see, already in production, as well as a lurker then. +2 almost finished. Solar absolutely crazy at getting at the later stages of the game as quick as possible, while Byun is still struggling to get a foothold in the middle ground. Solar sneaking units past, and yeah, oh man, these Byunlings, don't take prisoners. The tanks are sieging up. Will they siege on time? Yes, they will. A few lanes fall before Solar can do anything useful out of them. It's time for Cruel Spines, actually getting upgrades also for the Hydras, not only for the Lurkers. And another run by is already happening for Solar. There's a sensor tower to stop this, but there's not many units. Byun is gonna send his full army back to deal with a few lanes, which is definitely not what he wanted to do. Especially the tank sieged over here in the middle, nothing. 2 full medivacs meanwhile, flying on the top side. Solar keeping his full might in the middle. Trying to maybe be as flexible as possible moving around. It's just queens defending over here and absolutely nothing defending over here. But he's sneaking some units over here on the right. And also taking this base. Like, this base is very good to defend with static defense. Anything else kind of struggles. Especially for Zerg. But that's a lot of marines right now and not enough Finlings and Lings. Byun is getting past the defenses and over here more units are trying to take that base down. Solar currently max supply, needs to do something out of this run by because it's leaving itself very vulnerable to the strikes of his opponent, losing way too much compared to how easy would have been this defense without moving on the offense. But again, the upgrades are looking sick for Solar. Byun is actually very supply blocked right now. I'm not too sure how we lost so many supply depots. Oh, the Vipers! The Vipers are not in a very good spot. Can abduct the tank. That is going to be very good. But the Beans and Hydras running them. Lots of units. Oh, the beautiful blinding clouds for Solar. Blocking so many tanks at once. And this Zerg army is just not taking prisoners once again. It's not retreating back and creep. That was a very good trade for Solar, especially with the amount of tech he has at the ready, especially with these bad boys happening right now. Byun doesn't really have an answer to lurkers as of now. It's not like he has an answer to much else, to be completely honest. A few lurkers are not gonna finish, going to be killed in their eggs. But in the end, Nidus network going up for Solar was is really not taking too much damage after all. It took a little bit before, but Byun right now is finally getting his Ghost Academy upgrades, finally getting ghosts, which are going to be pretty much mandatory against lurkers. But Solar has yet to bleed significantly. And without bleeding significantly, there's very little ways to stop a Zerg. The relentless attacks from Byun is one of those ways. If there is a guy who can make this happen, it's him. Oh, that's a lot of Zerg units marching off creep. The blinding clouds going on both the tanks, meaning that the Lings do not have much to fear. But it's all or nothing right now for Solar. Very committed with this offensive movement. And honestly, Byun made the most optimal choice, just to collect his units and try to strike somewhere else. Back home, his defense is not looking too clean. He has a golden base, he's going to have a million command centers. Oh, the Nidus Worm, definitely not going up over here. And Byun now has the information of a Novlud standing over here. Actually, you already had that information with the Sensor Tower. Personal cloaking, almost finished. It's such a long time for that upgrade to complete. This Nidus Worm is still in region of a sensor tower. But it's not looking like Byun is sending anywhere to it. Nidus Worm completes. There's going to be a couple lurkers being very nasty. Oh, Byun gently lowering the depots for the lurkers to do anything. But meanwhile, Solar was trying to strike at the army over here, trying to stop Byun from getting too much control in the middle ground. The lurkers are going to siege here next to the Nidus Worm and going to kill a couple SCVs for their trouble. Snipes going down. Oh, are they? One of the ghosts is going down. That's not the greatest trade for Byun. And another Nidus Worm is going up into the main. Wait a second. Oh my god, this Overseer. Such a sneaky Overseer. Nidus Worm is going to fall down, but meanwhile Byun He's going to face a million Banelings, Vipers, Lings, Hydras, everything that Solar has to spare to kill as many workers as possible. The Vipers are also going to place a Parasite Bomb on top of the Medivacs, trying to kill one. One will go down. So many SVs left in the middle of nowhere. Oh my god. Solar doubling the amount of workers of his opponent. Even with these run-by going on, the non-run would drop going on over here. Oh, the Medivac is going to fall down. The Medivac is going to fall down. Byun is in a very bad spot right now. Losing that trade was very bad for him, and I honestly think this Nidus volume is going to go up. And Snipes available, not too many, but Solar decides against sending Lurkers in and decides again to send his Bull Might in the middle. They're not gonna do fine against just a million lanes and Banelings. And as you can see, Byun this time defends a little bit more cleanly, but at this point he just can't lose anything. He gets Viper, yes. Solar has full control of his outside of the map. He has a very strong army, has a lot of workers, his economy is devastatingly outgrowing the one of Byun. And the bank really neglects that. With Solar constantly being on the lookout for any chance to deal damage at any spot. Another swarm on the right and a full army on the left. Lightning Cloud going on top of one of the tanks, but there's so many tanks on that high ground. It's going to be very difficult for these Lings and Banelings to do much else, but oh my god, over here tanks killing his own SCVs. And look at this. The economy of Byun is almost non-existent as of now. Like, Solar has 4 times the income. Oh, lots of snipes going on top of the Banelings. Solar not really paying too much attention over here. Feeling content with killing 17 workers. And the ghosts out of Byun are punished. That confidence. Solar still pretty much in control. +3 melee weapon. Well, melee attacks, sorry. Is finally finishing. The Solar was finally establishing creep as well. This game is pretty much his to lose. Did I say his? I meant his, but well, anyway. Oh, that's so many ghosts out. Byun, I think he needs nukes right now. Like, I don't really see many other good combat mechanics he can implement into this, because these Banelings are just going reckless onto that ramp. There's so many tanks on the high ground. So Byun will hold once more, but he's completely losing control of this middle ground. It's going to be very difficult to protect his workers at the golden base the longer the aggression from Solar goes on. +3 ranged attacks in the makings for Solar, who now has a really balanced army, to be completely honest. Now he has much more, many more lurkers and Hydras, and with those upgrades kicking in, you can see his army already doing much better. Personal Cloak is doing its best to keep these ghosts alive, but the Hydras and the lurkers DPS is going through the roof. This might not look like a good trade for Byun, because this is definitely for a Solar, sorry, because this is definitely a fight that Byun had just won. But still, take a close look at the supply and at the bank. Losing a few units means that Byun has no more resources. Losing many more units for Solar means he has just casually 1k in the bank, almost maxed out with 90 workers, granting him more than double the income of his opponent. Getting another base over here and another on the top right. Solar in full control of the map. There's really 2 spots he does not control. One being this golden base and one being this other base over here, because there's so many goddamn tanks on this high ground. Solar decides against striking in the middle. to put an end to this game, and he's going to do it from the right side. Really feeling like he's toying with his food right now. The last 3 almost finished, but he decides to attack nonetheless. Lurkers marching on in the middle, and now they're in between the ramp. Will the Viper be available to drop down something to kill this Ghost? Ghost very dexterously dodging the Lurker spines. But everything else is over here, and it's killing everything that Byun has. Adrenal glands plus 3 leans. They just did like a truck. And there's pretty much no structure that can hold its own against them. The ghosts are out of energy, and so are the medivacs. Of course, the DPS is still pretty high, but again, Solar might not have a huge gas income as of now, but it's just making a million circles. Byun slowly recovering in the worker department, and he's finally killing this Night Swarm over here as well, but his army is just not cutting it. The middle ground is uber well defended, the planetary fortress and like a million tanks. But Solar just doesn't care enough for that. He's taking control of the rest of the map. Byun has not been striking throughout the whole game. Solar can slowly but steadily chip away the key units of Byun until he's mined out. See, actually, Blinding Clouds making Solar very happy, and Byun very sad. Game number 1 was in the hands of the Zero player. Much different map compared to Pride of Altaris, with this map over here being a very short map actually, and allowing so many aggressive strategies. If it wasn't for these rocks in the middle, let me tell you about it, like, and the side blockers as well, of course. Like, these would have been kind of complicated to deal with for anyone. But of course, the watchtowers give a certain degree of importance to map control once it comes to like the mid to late game. Having control of these watchtowers means that your opponent, even if the rush distance is very short, cannot really get too much in your face. So pretty much you can do one of two things. You either control the map until late game, or you kill your opponent so fast that map control doesn't really have too much to do with this game. It's a matter of game style. And honestly, I see Byun being able to take advantage of the second of those playstyle, while I see Solar being very able to take the first approach instead. Once again, a Reaper expand on the side of Byun to get as much scouting as possible early on. And honestly, his scouting with the Reaper in the game before, like, that was something crazy. He had pretty much perfect information. He also kills a Ling over here, which is not something we see that often nowadays. Oh, the drone barely saved. And Byun is also, of course, going to see the third base of Solar going up over here. Well, back at home, what will he do? Looking like a very standard 1-1-1 with reactorate aliens being used to get a little bit of map control and maybe deal some damage to the economy of his opponent. Again, this map has a ramp in the natural, making it very difficult for aliens to gain any mileage. The Queen gets bopped away, and the Reaper trying to get maybe something done over here at this third base. Maybe try to get a couple transferring drones. Liberator in the making, very standard opener on the side of Byun. We've been used to him playing very aggressively with tons of marines, even pushing without medivacs in the early game. But this approach with Hellions and Liberators in the early game is really looking like something you would have seen out of a Terran from a little bit ago in this matchup. Most of the players are much more committed into a position, or they are just going to macro it up with just the aliens trying to gain map control. This overload over here is going to get a little bit of scouting. Not gonna see much. Also because there's not much to be seen, to be completely honest. Byun is going to drop 2 Rex as soon as he has the money. He's gonna use those to pump out as many Marines as possible, a couple tanks, and try to hit with the nastiest timing attack he can possibly achieve. Command center also going up at a very standard timing. Only 1 drone will be burned to ashes by Byun's efforts. 2 Evo chambers. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. That's actually significant. That's a lot of lost mining time. The 2 Evo chambers are going up, but there's no spur crawler in the main. This Liberator actually doing something, while the aliens force the attention of Solar away, trying to avoid these guys to get too much damage. I think this queen is actually going to fall down if Solar is not careful about it, but Solar is. And yeah, the Liberator is sieging on the top of nowhere. That is weird. Maybe to avoid like all army hotkeys moves or something like that. I don't know. The aliens get a couple crit tumors, then speed away. And Byun again, he's setting up the timing attack I was talking about. This time he's going to get the 5 Rexes a little bit sooner than I was expecting him. Not even having his third command center down yet in the third base. And already getting the 4th and 5th Rex to support as much Marine Marauder production as possible. He's gonna need supply divots as well to support this much of a production. But of course, this matchup is not about how many Marines you can make, it's about how many you can replace. And it's about to be time for Byun to actually do something with these Marines. Because Solar is getting a 4th base, he's getting key upgrades, and he's also getting another macro hatch in the main. It's going to be soon an infestation pit, probably leading into a hive again at 10 minutes. And Solar would pretty much be unstoppable after that, as you have seen in the game before. Byun a little bit more committed to dealing damage right now, actually. This Liberator over here actually doing some work, forcing mining time. Not really getting too many kills. Tank on the watchtower trying to hit at this base over here. There's only 4 queens for defending. Oh my god, no, there's not only 4 queens for defending. There's a million lanes and lanes. I think Solar needs more Banelings right now. He has a lot of gas. He needs more Banelings. He needs that upgrade to finish. This tank over here is in a very open spot. I don't like that at all. The second tank was really getting a couple lanes. The queens are all alive, and that was pretty much a free trade on the side of Solar. Marines steaming forward, trying to get the creep teamers down before centrifugal hooks is done, so that these lanes and millings did not move as fast as Solar wants them to. But as of now, the tanks do not cover these Marines enough. There's going to be quite a few deaths before Byun can recover. Honestly, oh my, that was a clean defense from Solar. But Byun was recollecting his Marines, was moving them away, he wasn't fast enough, he didn't have his tanks in the perfect spot. And Solar just hard punched that, with Banelings actually rolling down over here, killing a couple workers, and almost destroying an orbital command actually. Just going to be repaired by Byun, no real problem, but creep spread this time out of Solar, looking much deadlier. +2/+2 about to kick in faster than the Terran player. That is an achievement. Infestation Pit being dropped down this time a little bit later to allow Solar to play more defensively and have more units to contest the tank pushes that Byun has been making for his whole career. Byun trying to hit on two different sides as well, on the spots as well, but Solar is very well prepared for both of them. Crit teamers will go up over here as well, but Byun is not really caring too much about that. He's still trying to look for a spot in which he can deal damage. Loading these marines over here. Meanwhile, on the top right, more marines trying to get creep teamers. That's pretty much all Byun can get. I like the Liberator transition. I'm not too sure if the ghosts did enough work for Byun in the previous game, and they pretty much assault to a very similar objective. Pretty decent micro out of Byun to kill as many units as possible before heading back to his own side, but oh my god, Solar. That's a lot of Banelings, my man. That's a lot of Banelings. That's not enough Liberators to cover all of them. The army of Byun is absolutely melting in acid. And right now, it's time for these guys to gently roll on as many workers as possible. Oh, still more workers going down. Still more Banelings rolling through, and still more lanes getting in position. The army of Byun is not looking very clean in position. Oh my god, it's 20 workers down at the 10-minute mark. 27? Oh, this base is going down as well, I think. It's going to burn down. I don't think Byun will be able to repair it in time. I don't think his workers will get there before Solar kills them. Solar focusing on the units most of all right now. He was trying to refocus on the command center, but decides against that. Right now the Liberators are basically everything that's left standing within Solar victory. Not even that. Solar is currently at match point. Alright. Solar been playing aggressively in game number 2 and annihilating Byun. Playing very conservatively in game number 1, rushing tech and absolutely annihilating Byun. What does the Red Terran have in store for us that can finally topple his opponent? Hardware much more similar to Pride of Altaris than Curious Minds. Tons and tons of rocks blocking key spots, making it tougher for the Zergs especially to maneuver. But of course it's a long rush distance map. You cannot really get too much in trouble for grading it out a little bit. And the Reaper is also going to, the aliens, sorry, are also going to get a little bit more damage because there's another ramp in the natural. There's here and here. So Byun can get a little bit more mileage from the style he's been playing in the previous 2 games, just because of how this map is. But I also think Solar will be much more careful around those things for the exact same reason. Let's see, the Reaper making it here, just pretty much in an average time. Just trying to focus down on that drone as hard as possible, which will be saved with a cancel, of course. Oh. Byun has been really working hard on his Reapers once again, and very annoying with it. And again we see the same opener as in game number 1 from Byun. The Rex factory into Fur Command Center before Starport, or maybe even second Rex. That's also something that can work. And it's going to be a Starport. And overall I didn't hate it in game number 1. I thought it was a good choice, and I still think it is, especially seeing how Solar is playing in the last few months. I do feel like the early fair command center is quite possibly the best answer you have to the playstyle that this Zerg player is becoming so proficient at. Actually getting overload speed inside of Solar. I'm going to slow down his lair by quite a bit. But it's a very good upgrade to get a little bit of scouting, get informations, since Byun can do pretty much anything he wants. He can do very different things and difficult things to deal with as well, yes. This time it's going to be a Banshee with Cloak, which is a very good follow-up to the early Fair Command Center, one of my favorites. Especially if you're able to keep the Banshees alive even if you don't get too much damage. You don't really need to get damage on the get-go with the Banshees. You can just save them, deal damage after that. I think Solar saw the Banshee, to be completely honest with you guys. I really think he did. His Olage is gonna be stationed over here. Byun realized that. He just moves out of there, with Solar greeting him with queens. There's no letter up yet. Spore Crawler's finally being dropped around. This Banshee is still going to hit a little bit before the crawlers are up. It's gonna hit without Cloak, but it's still going to get drones, that's for sure. Cloak almost finished. You can see the Banshee flying in circles around the queens and getting so many drones. This is such a low expense for Byun as well. And you can just keep it alive over here. Well, that is, yeah, that it wasn't the spot, but now it's cloaked. It's ready to strike for a little bit more damage. Just one Spore Crawler here in the natural. In the main, there's one over here as well. The Banshee will fly to the dead air zone and be content with just leaving to maybe fight another day. Is it going to be for Crypt Tumors? No, Byun wants to get drones. Get one and probably two. Yeah, that's it. Spore Crawler over here is in a much better position. There's not really even a lot of energy on this Banshee, who was greeting a little bit too much. The Spore Crawler over here is barely not in range. The Banshee will survive. Byun actually keeping both Banshees alive, and Solar will need to remember that. It might look like they didn't deal a lot of damage, it's only 7 drones, but 7 drones in the early game, first of all, it's a lot of damage. And second of all, as you can see, this Banshee can always come back to deal damage, to punch you in the back, 2 more drones. They're always a thorn in your side. And Solar will start the struggle to take control of the middle of the map, to start his run-bys without him being scouted. Maybe deal some damage of his own. Both Banshees are very low in health. This Banshee over here, it could actually fly away to the same spot the other one is. But it's risky. Byun just prefers to wait for the rest of his army to clash before making any movements with the Banshees. Solar setting some real sketchy things over here with a drop alert in the main. A few rounds of Marines just finished over here to stop the drop alert from getting too much damage. I don't really like that play out of Solar, but I do love this play out of Byun, getting 3 more drones, stopping these archery from ever becoming a thing. The army of Solar way out of position. And these Banshees, man, these Banshees are still killing stuff. Drop alert is still alive. He's going to be dropping Banelings in a little while, which are much deadlier than just 8 lanes. Of course, Solar is trying to get the tech he needs for these later stages, but he's being slowed down quite a bit. The overload will fall down. The drop alert is ready with the Banelings on the left side. That's a lot of Bling Bane defending the middle ground. in between all of the bases of Solar. Oh, it's time. It's just +1. Oh, beautiful reflexes from Byun. Moving out of harm's way before the drop lord will get those spinlings raining from the sky. Byun making a good effort at killing as many crypt humans as possible while keeping his army alive. Actually killing the rocks to move into position from here. And that's a lot of crypt humans that can be killed by the Terran player. The drop lord failing once again to drop onto anything. Byun leading this game in supply with a very powerful army moving in the middle. Solar looking for a counter-strike. He's looking to deal some damage and maybe stop the reinforcements from Byun from ever reaching the spot. Oh, the wall is down. The wall is down. Oh my god. That is 2,000 lanes that just casually get into your natural, Byun. That's unforgivable mistakes when so many SCVs falling down. Byun needs to bite back somewhat, but is really not accomplishing it. And right now, this is a full-fledged disaster for the Terran player. He was so much in control of this game. He was in such a great spot. And right now, he's left struggling with 30 less workers than before. The bench is trying to make up for that. But now that the Hydras are out, Solar really able to clash with the two armies and come out on top. And this is such a disaster for Byun. Oof. Don't look at the resources lost because this is Zerg. Zerg don't really care too much about losing too many resources. It's more about larva than anything else. And to be honest, like the units and things that Byun lost were much more important. With Byun being almost 30 workers behind right now. Really not managing to get positive defenses as Solar. He's now getting +3 upgrades, getting a Lurker Den up, and with this hive, gonna see some Vipers. There's not really anything to answer those. There's no Liberators, no Vikings, no Ghosts. Really nothing. And Liberators, honestly, I don't know why I listed them into the answer for Vipers, because mostly Vipers do have many answers to Liberators, which is kind of the opposite. This drop lord, it's still trying, man. Oh, will he finally succeed? Oh yes. It finally succeeds, killing 5 more workers out of Byun. The army of Solar a little bit out of position would probably mean this actually is going down. Or will it though? Because the rest of the army of Solar is moving so fast on creep, getting into position, scaring Byun away. Still, Byun hitting on the left side, getting 6 more workers, and it's starting to add up. That's a lot of workers that have been killed by Byun. It's 21, it's not the 34 that were killed by Solar in just one shot. But I may have overreacted to the damage that Byun took, because he's really taking it like a champ. He's striking on so many different spots at once. The Vipers are going to drop down a parasitic bomb over these medivacs. Not gonna get much done than that. The Penguins are gonna stop the Widowmines from getting too close forward. The rest of the army of Solar is catching over there. Widowman shots doesn't get too much, really. The Spore Crawlers are not in the greatest spots. Like these medivacs out of Byun are flying uncontested or uncontrolled on all of Solar spaces. Landing Cloud goes down on top of the tanks, stopping them from getting too much mileage. You can see Byun once again just getting his full might and actually cancelling Grand Carapace 3. It's going to be denied by these drops out of Byun. And now Solar is the one struggling, losing 6 more workers, losing one of his Evo chambers, and really not managing to keep up with the amount of aggression that Byun is putting against him with so many medivacs spread around. Byun needs to deal still more damage than this. It's going to be mandatory for him to slow down the advance of these lurkers. Killing the archery is a very good thing for Byun, of course. But again, he needs to do more. And you know what's better than killing one archery? Killing two archeries. Byun retaking control of this game. At last, Solar is able to gain control of his first 3 bases. But the price for it will be to lose control of every single other one, alongside many workers holding down. Byun takes his full might to unleash in the main. His full might is not really that great. Most of his units are still stationed back home, because Marauders, Marines, and a lot of Widow Mines being ready to strike when the time comes. And the Night is Warm. The Night is Warm in a very nasty spot. Solar might have gone past the defenses of Byun. I think he has. I think he's gonna drop down a Night is Warm on top of the production of his opponent, and lurkers are getting over there. Meanwhile, Byun is striking here in the middle. Solar! Oh my god! That's so many lurkers! The production of Byun has no chance surviving this. All Solar has to do is survive the onslaught on the side of Byun itself. Over here, in the middle, so much of the army of the Red Terran is clashing. But look at these lurkers! The production of Byun is never going to recover from this. Oh, the Ghost Academy is in range. Lurkers killing workers as well. But you know what? Byun does not care about that. He's striking back. Solar needs a couple of his lurkers back home to deal with this, because there's not really much else that can deal with this. 9 more Hydras in the making. The spawning pool was killed by another drop. The Hydras are doing their best. And is it enough? I think it is. Poor Crawlers and Queens are helping, killing down as many Queens as possible. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, the production of Byun is doing its best. Actually, Liberators, with scans being dropped on the lurkers, are able to make short work of them. But at the same time, the attack from Byun is going to be partially deflected, because he's still hitting over here. And it's so many workers over here. The army of Solar is actually going all out. It's not going to defend this. Way too slow reflexes from the Hydras of Solar. Not like he has a ton of them. Oh, a lurker has joined the fray, but so many units for Solar are falling down. A lurker and 8 drones. Larva is pretty much the only saving grace for Solar right now. This game is in a very awkward spot. Like, this is very odd. Very odd. 14 lurkers down. Like, that's a lot of lurkers. What is this? This Widow Mines matchup suddenly turned into a PvT, with Byun trying to drop Widow Mines in the mineral lines of Solar, who's actually recovering himself like very fast. Like, 5 lurkers are in production. His economy is really not looking good. I don't know how he found the money for that, really. His overseer is definitely going down. Solar has a million other... Oh, wow. Whoa. I know you're not used to that because you don't play Protoss. But losing 14 workers to 3 Widow Mines is absolutely unforgivable. It's not like he can lose workers in this spot as well. Solar... The only saving grace was probably having so many more workers than Byun, and that completely went down the sink. Vipers, Lurkers, and Leans. Solar building up a very strong army. But it's still going to be very complicated. So many Widow Mines spread around. How did Byun lose 2 workers over here? I think a couple Leans. Last free melee in the making. I don't know if it... Yeah, he never recovered from that deny on Ground Carvers. Look at how that body him in the back, not defending that Evo Chamber. Solar trying to defend his base on the top left as much as possible, but Byun is actually trying to strike on the right. 14 Banelings in the making. And we have not seen Banelings in the army of Solar for a little bit, actually. Alright, Byun. What do we have in store for us? Such a beautiful game number 3 might become the start of a comeback or the nail in the coffin. And really, it can go both ways very quickly. So many buildings I can go over here to defend against this, honestly. So we're just gonna get his units. Byun is also just gonna get his units into the medivacs. Get away from there. His brave lurker was almost getting something done, but in the end he didn't. 11 workers actually falling to this drop by Byun. And I think, like, finally at last with this parasitic bomb, Solar might have found a way to deflect this, but this medivac is still full. And there's many key units ready, key structures ready to be taken down over here in the main. Solar's army is in position though, so it's not gonna lose much more. Solar being able to recover from that devastating sucker punch in the middle of the game. And like right now he's almost maxed out. His gas income is absolutely amazing. And Byun much slower getting back on track. Solar might actually push with his whole might, and it might actually be almost impossible for Byun to defend. And these Brambis have been absolutely crazy throughout the game for Byun. If you played like this the previous 2 games, you will be looking at a different series for sure. These Brambis have been dealing devastating damage after devastating damage. Like, how many? Solar has lost 90 workers, guys. 90. That's a bad day to be a drone. 10 more falling down. Widowmines still striking at this base over here. Still taking lives. Solar might have done everything pretty much perfect. This abduct is not gonna do anything. Because there's nothing that shoots up. Finally 2 Hydras. They're just gonna disregard that because Byun is eating with his full might and this base is going down. Just the 3 medivacs. It's all this guy needs. Oh, but Solar is such a powerful army right now, killing these full medivacs as well. With a Viper getting ready to drop down a parasitic bomb. There's a lot of ghosts out. But Solar right now with 1,000,000 links, like, just look at this. 101 links, 4 Hydras, 23 buildings, 14 lurkers, and a Viper against what? 3 tanks, 7 Marauders, 28 Marines, 14 ghosts. Like, 14 ghosts are a lot of ghosts. But you're not like facing 10 Ultras. It's just lanes in there. Byun, another drop on the right. This time the army of Solar is in position. Probably Byun is gonna take advantage of that to attack with these other medivac over here, and yes, he does. He's gonna find a lurker and a couple more lanes over here nonetheless. Oh, so many lurkers in the middle. Oh, the ghosts are in a very nasty spot, especially if Byun wants to get a nuke. Oh, but Solar doesn't want to wait anymore, I think. Yeah, really doesn't. These lurkers being leapfrogged forward. Can get used. Oh, but the ghosts get way too close to the lurkers. Those knights were no bueno, and now they find themselves surrounded with a blinding cloud being dropped to stop them from sniping and killing stuff. Solar, with a few decisive maneuvers, has taken full control of the outside of the map of Byun. Now Banelings are rolling in a choke point in between 2 tanks, killing everything that comes in contact with them. These last few Widowmines doing their best, as well as another drop on the top left, which is going to kill so many workers. And Solar decides to actually go back home and defend against this. I'm not too sure about that. Byun didn't have anything else, really. So many lurkers. Solar moving his army from left to right, from right to left, from top to bottom, and then from bottom to top, catching Byun in every single position he's sending units into. And just leans and lurkers, leans and lurkers, leans and lurkers. Now a few banelings trying to get actually to get us around. The EMP will hit the Viper, stopping that from getting too many good spells. Now with a few more sorry, not Vipers, but a few more Hydras in the mix, Solar can also look to kill Liberators if that is going to be a transition, or Medivacs if that is going to be needed. Just the 4 Marines, but still hitting like a truck. Solar and Byun both moving their armies to the left to take control of another piece of ground over here. Byun needs to be careful. Solar might be going forward with a lot of lurkers and links at any given time. I think this is the final step from Byun. I think this is the full army of the Terran player over here on the top side, and Solar just not caring, saying half to the left, half to the right. These half over here can make short work of everything that's left standing in between Solar and Victory, and now the rest of the army of Solar is actually chasing the rest of the army of Byun, striking over here with the same 4 units into a medivac. It's not 4, it's a little bit more. You can see Solar just replacing his last unit, and you can see the production tab of Byun being absolutely empty. Blinding Cloud are going to be dropped on top of the tanks. Up Dogs and Solar gets game number 3 and the whole series.